and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us.
We started the oxygen service as a way to try to breathe new life into people, as if they were getting a dose of fresh oxygen, pure oxygen. It has started out very, very small and has grown.
And at one point, the organist, Steve Murphy, said, well, you know, the people at the 10:30 just don't have any oxygen. They're just really don't have any energy. We need to get some energy.
We let the youth partake in the service to be an active part, to get the feel of what the service is about. We encourage them to read the gospel, to collect the offering. It's a youth that plays the drums. People just really enjoy the praise portion, as we don't seem to praise God enough.
We had one child in our entire youth group to now we have 4 or 5 in the journey to adulthood, which is the older teens, and we have roughly about a dozen in our Right 13 group, which is 5th grade to 8th graders. In fact, it's basically now the largest service we have, which is kind of scary. It's like we put kind of a toe in the water, the next thing we dove in head first. It was like it all started happening. What I suggest to folks is that you almost have to just do it. We received a whole lot of pushback from folks who initially weren't sure this was a good idea, and I understand that. Anytime you make a change, especially when you think, that's not really an Episcopal service, is it? I mean, after all, we don't use the prayer book. We just have the gospel instead of the Old Testament Psalm, New Testament gospel, and we focus on trying to keep it to that half an hour. But again, over time, they started seeing the value.
I've been to both the non-traditional and the traditional. I still like the traditional, but working the audio board, the non-traditional, I'm here and see it and hear it. It's fun for a lot of people, and if that's the way that they want to worship, then that's fine. And that's the outreach and the outgrowth of the church, is to try to accommodate more people and their individual likes.
St. Michael's is a very special church to me because it's a growing church, and it's a church that has a congregation that want to see it grow. Typically people are hesitant to have change, hesitant to have things come in and be different, rock the boat kind of stuff. But here at St. Michael's, I think we welcome change. It's kind of the thing that we embrace because we see it as a way growing our congregation, reaching out about the ministry of Christ and the love of Christ to our community.
St. Michael's is a really special place because we're located in the midst of a really growing community, a young community, a community that we're reflecting in our congregation, and therefore we're able to grow. We've been averaging, since I've been here almost now 4 years, a new family every month. It's fun to see new young families with children come and join us.
The church struggles with all the usual things that small congregations do. Not enough funding, occasionally a little bit of dissension maybe between one group who would like to see something happen and another that is resistant to that. It just struggles a little bit with its ability to keep up with what it wants to do, and mostly that has to do with finances.
Other challenges have been to work with our existing facility. We don't have a lot of room, and the next plan is to start either building a office/education wing or a new sanctuary, or sanctuary. Our sanctuary is our fellowship hall right now, and so you know, I see there's a definite need to continue to progress forward.
You're allowed to be involved as much or as little as you want. There's a lot of activity, always lots of encouragement. If you become involved with it, you always have the backing and encouragement of everyone. We have one really large activity, which many people in the town don't realize that it's our church, it's our outreach fundraising effort, and that is the Noblesville Strawberry Festival. That is put on 100% by St. Michael's Episcopal Church and all their volunteers. Noblesville is a quickly growing city. We bring people in from quite a wide variety of areas. Our membership has grown from both unchurched and people who just didn't feel comfortable in an extremely large church. They felt too lost in the large churches, and they definitely don't feel that at St. Michael's in Noblesville. St. Michael's is a very special place to me because from the very first day we walked in until this day, we feel like a member of a family. We were greeted with open arms, lots of love, and lots of strong family relationship feelings.
Oh, it's a wonderful church. Very friendly, very open. Everybody tries to accommodate everybody. We know everybody has differences, and that's fine, but that's part of the strength in the community. And anybody that comes here is immediately welcomed in. We all have the name tags so that we can be immediately known, and we certainly all try to see who's not a regular member here, a new face, and we all try and go up and introduce ourselves.
As a vestry member, I look for a lot of promise here at this church. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of new members. We have grown significantly in the last year and a half. They're excited about the church. They're excited about the family feel. We're in the middle of our actually have just ended our first capital campaign and are in the process of expanding our kitchen. The church is an older building. It doesn't meet some of our requirements for people with disabilities to be able to go downstairs and partake in some of the social activities. So we really expect that our kitchen remodel and expansion is just the tip of the iceberg for what is coming down the road for us.
What has helped give us our focus is our mission statement. It was tempting to use one of the flowery ones where we save everybody instead of saying St. Michael's is a community where we, being disciples of Christ, reach out and invite others to be disciples of Christ by our having daily prayer, weekly worship, regular Bible study, having a spiritual friend, giving to the church and outside the church. For me, that's much easier to get our head around when we're making decisions as a vestry and saying, does this do these things? Are we giving to outside the church? Are we helping to build up the church itself? Are we giving our people opportunities like having small groups and providing them chances to have a spiritual friend? Is our worship lively? Is it something that's, each service is unique and reaches out to a unique segment of our congregation? Does it fill a spiritual need? Do we encourage people to have daily prayer? Do we take the time to make sure people make the connections of what we're doing and then invite others to be disciples of Christ?